Tell me about yourself.
My name is Dylan Davidheiser. I'm a sophomore at the Fox School of Business here at Temple University. My major is real estate urban redevelopment with a minor in communications. I currently work at the Rockport Group in Philadelphia. We're in the retail business, and I'm a managerial key holder and a sales associate. And I also work as a server on the weekends at Trap Tavern to build my communication skills. As well, I also do draftsmanship for TBD Construction Company, and I volunteer for the Green Allies Foundation, specifically working at the All House Arboretum in Upper Cosgrove Township. And we also work at their main office in Chester Springs, trying to bring environmental awareness to the local communities, as well as bringing open spaces. I also have interned at Berkshire Hathaway twice, once at the Reading office and one at the YMSN Greater Area office, doing real estate calculations and development projects and overseeing their work there. I've been working since I was 15 years old. My first job was at Solomon's Industries Corporations. I worked as a processor. Doing processings, I oversaw the operations and access and all the equipments as well. We did communication management, where we would bring in other people in the industry that we were working in, like farm and equipment industry, and we would evaluate their equipment as well as ours. After working there for almost 3 years, I moved to Hearthstone Health Group, where I started off as a dining services assistant, and I was promoted to healthcare advisor within a couple months of working there. I worked there for 2 years before we were taken over by new management of Enliven Corporation. It was an assisted living community where I had the same job, and then I moved up to executive healthcare advisor, working there for 6 months before I moved to Temple for school. For the job, I assisted in living comfort and resident needs, as well as processing orders and processing paperwork and evaluating customer needs and customer assistance.
Tell me about a significant accomplishment in your life.
Okay, I have two accomplishments that I would like to talk about, one in my personal life and one in my professional life. In my professional life, my biggest accomplishment was my position that I held at Hearthstone Health Group and Enliven Corporate. It was a really big deal because I was the youngest person to hold that position. As well, Enliven was a really large company based in Chicago. They owned about 250 communities, and Hearthstone was a really small company. We only had 3 communities. And when the transition from Hearthstone to Enliven happened, the corporate people from Chicago came out to Reading, where I was working at the time, and they evaluated our 150 person community with all the workers, and from each department, there's about 4 departments, they only promoted one person in each department, and I was the only person promoted in my dietary department, and I was promoted from dining services assistant to healthcare advisor. I held that position for about 2 years before I was re-promoted to an executive healthcare assistant, where I oversaw the residents and complied with all their needs and all their complaints. It was for being 18 years old, that was a really big accomplishment, especially because my other jobs, I had some pretty big professional accomplishments for being how young I was, and that was really significant to be working in the healthcare field and with people who have college degrees, people who were a lot older than me, and to hold that position. And then in my personal life, I began working as a senior in high school to develop a program that we called Hero. It was to boost student morale within our high school. And then we continued to work on it afterwards. When I was working at Monco, the Montgomery County Community College, my local community college from where I'm from, and when I was going to Penn State, we continued to branch out, and I worked with Green Allies Foundation, who I was volunteering for, who I still volunteer for, and we worked with the local community that we created called the All House Arboretum in Upper Cosgrove Township. And Upper Cosgrove worked with us to develop a community aspect for the Hero program, and we incorporated a lot of the local residents, and they came in to organize communities, open spaces, and to boost morale within the community, not only just in the high school. And we really interacted with the neighborhoods and everyone, and the environmental agencies that were taking place in Upper Cosgrove at the time, to create environmentally friendly open spaces to make the community more aware about environmental impacts, as well as redevelopments. We redevelop farmhouses, which I use my experience from TBD construction, doing draftsmanships and labor work to assist in the rebuilding of the houses, as well as open spaces. We created a lot of parks that we made environmentally friendly. We didn't bring any outside materials in. We used all the existing materials, as well as fundraisers to help raise money for EPA and more environmental agencies, as well as for the community, and to give back, since we were giving back in an environmental aspect, and with our open spaces we also wanted to give back financially and help boost economic prosperity for our community.
Tell me about something you've learned in class.
I think one of the most important things that we learned in class was about business culture. In business culture, it talks about how values and visions shape the way that the company runs. I think that the values and visions of the company are essential to operations and how employees reflect their business work and business ethic. I think that the way that the employees demonstrate their work ethic in work also reflects how they are outside of work, which I think is very important. Working intensely within the community and giving back to the community, and always trying to see a better way to help people outside of business, I think that reflects greatly on the company's business culture. I think it also helped me to work better within the businesses that I have worked in, to just learn what the community is like and how to give back. And I think that culture within business is also reflected on how you are outside business as well, so you can shape the community. In a recent article that I read from the Wall Street Journal called "Elon Musk Could Net Billions by Hitting Tesla's New Milestones," he talks about how he has shared his visions with his company to make these great accomplishments. His companies, from the automotive industry all the way to working in space, has really reflected his visions and his dreams, and all his workers are wildly involved with his visions, which also incorporates the transformative leadership styles that we talked about in class. Intellectual consideration was one that is talked about being creative and bold. Elon Musk is a perfect example of someone who is creative and bold. His SpaceX program is one of the most creative designs that we have had in the business world, and he incorporates his visions within that. As well, in the transformative leadership styles, there's the inspirational motivation, which is creating shared values and visions with your followers, which directly connects to the business culture, just sharing the values that you have. And if you share the same values as an executive, as one of the corporate leaders, then your employees will reflect those visions and they'll reflect those values, and your business culture will thrive.